In today's video, gents, 21 ways to command respect when you walk into a room, even if you don't know anyone. So as you can tell, I'm not in my normal studio. I'm actually traveling in Mauritius. And guys, I have meetups. I had one here in Mauritius, as you can see from these pictures. Had a great time. And if you want to be notified about these meetups, make sure you join my email newsletter. Down in the description, I'm going to put a link to my email newsletter, which if you join, by the way, you get tons of free ebooks. It's a great newsletter. So enough of that. Let's get into the content. Tip number one, know your purpose. Understand your why. If you're showing up to this event because you want to network and grow your business, that's one thing. If you want to show up to this event just to have fun, that's a very different purpose. Now, nothing wrong with either of them, but you need to understand which one it is because that's going to determine your attitude, the way that you approach this, how much you prepare, and your entire mindset when you go in. A lot of times people go in and they haven't thought this through. And if you don't understand exactly what you want to get out of your time being spent at this networking event or at this party, then you're not going to get out of it what you want to get out of it because you don't know your purpose. Tip number two, believe in yourself. Because if you don't believe in yourself, it's very unlikely anyone else will. I know that's cruel, but here's the thing, is that everyone has something that can give them confidence, that can give them a reason to believe in themselves. Don't believe me? Okay, maybe you've got experience. May not be the experience in your industry, but you've got experience of life. Or maybe you've got a very specific education. Oh, you don't have experience or you don't have education? You can be a great listener because guess what? People are there and they want to talk. And if you can go around and be someone who pays attention to names, who actually makes introductions, you may not know much about what's going on here, but you at least are paying attention to the situation and you become that person, that glue that brings everyone together. Tip number three, and you knew this one was coming, dress like the man in charge. If you are underdressed, you're going to feel out of place. If you're way overdressed, then you may feel out of place, but really it comes down to what, again, back to point number one, your mission. Because if you're a lawyer at a construction firm, you're going to probably outdress all the other men at that firm. Why? Because you have a job that's about paying attention to details, doing that paperwork, and keeping that company out of trouble. You can dress up if your profession calls for it. But when it comes down to it, guys, think about the environment, think about your personal needs, think about your body type, all this stuff I talk about in my channel, which I will link to additional videos down in the description, which go into a lot more about how to dress for your body shape and all that stuff. Next tip, call your safety. So you're about to walk into the room. How about you go ahead and make a phone call to a friend who's always got your back, always has something positive to say. Maybe to your wife, maybe to someone, maybe one of your daughters. Someone that's going to be your cheerleader is going to say, Dad, I love you. And guess what? You're going to feel good. When you all of a sudden, yes, start to feel good about yourself, you walk into that room feeling good about yourself, people are going to pick this up. And all of a sudden, people are going to want to talk to you. Why? Because you make them feel good. So make sure you have a positive conversation right before you walk into the room. Now, this next tip is really powerful, and that is bring your own crew. So here in Mauritius, when I showed up to that party, I have to admit, I brought my own crew. One of the best guys, my son, Alex. He's 15 years old, and I brought him to the party. It was, a watch event for Yema Watch Company. It was a great time. I also brought Gavin. He's my operations manager. Brought Yuri, my tech manager. I had my own crew that I brought. Now, if you're going out to a bar or you're going out to a party, try to bring somebody with you. So at the worst case, you two can, talk to each other, but you've always got that person that's got your back. When you can bring your crew, it also shows that you're socially acceptable. So when you walk into a bar and you're a lone wolf, you don't really stand as good of a chance if you have 2 to 3 guys with you. Why? Because they have shown that you are acceptable to other people and people pick up on this. Now, how to get past this and the next point is to immediately start to talk to people and even show up a bit early. Even if you're just talking to the bartender, even if you just get the name of the guy that's going around with the food or the drinks, the thing is, you know somebody and they acknowledge you. And all of a sudden, other people are picking up that, you're a good person, which takes us to our next point, which is to acknowledge people when you walk into the room. So men have this thing, when you walk in and you just look and you give a nod, right? Make sure to do that because when you acknowledge people, it makes them feel that they are worth acknowledging. And don't forget to give yourself margin. What I'm talking about is that little bit of extra time so that you get sidetracked. You maybe got to spend a little bit more time in the bathroom. You get lost on the way. You want to give yourself that little bit of cushion so you can show up on time. Now, it's not always important to show up to a networking event right on time. You usually got a little bit of leeway here. But if it's something that you're going to be talking at. If it's something that actually they'll be shutting the door because they don't want, they don't want people just showing up at any point because there's going to be a speaker up on stage. You want to make sure to give yourself that 15 minutes. That's one thing we picked up in the Marine Corps. They are always, if you're not 15 minutes early, you are late. And let's talk about having direction. So when you walk into a room, make sure that you've got direction. You don't want to just hang out near the entrance, walk around aimlessly. No, you want to go somewhere, and I think straight to the bar is perfectly fine, to grab a drink. You feel comfortable, you got something in your hand, and you gave yourself time to scan the room. That's the next thing that you want to be at this point doing, is looking around and seeing who can you talk with, who can you engage with. People that are standing by themselves, oftentimes haven't gotten past this point. And guess what? They are so easy and they're so thankful for someone to oftentimes just come up and start to speak with them. But what if no one's standing by themselves? You just see all these groups around. Well, then go ahead and insert yourself into a smaller group. You want to look at body language at this point. So notice, are people open up or are they really close to each other? Be careful of groups where people are having a private conversation. Oftentimes they're going to be leaning in, they're going to be closer to each other. Maybe they're talking over a table. You may want to be careful of those. Instead, find ones in which people are giving each other a bit of space and there's a natural place for you to be able to step in and then introduce yourself. Make sure to throw that hand out there and properly introduce yourself. And when it comes to names, make sure to say their name, to repeat their name. People love their names, and they love it when somebody remembers their name, because so many times we're introduced to people and we don't remember the names. If you take nothing else out of this video, develop a game, find a way for you to become a better person at remembering names. I associate their name with another meaning and then I try to stick it with them. So I met a gentleman, Marco, the other day. Marco from Hong Kong. All these names I'm putting together and I say it because it's not just remembering here, but it's also the muscle memory when you say it again and again. And these things make a difference because when you say somebody's name and you say it correctly, they actually like you more. Now let's talk about your conversation. 3 things here. Speak to be heard. Speak clearly and speak slowly. When you speak to be heard, many people out there, they talk and they just mumble. They're barely getting out the words in the conversation. You know these people. You want to speak so that no one has to say, I'm sorry, what did you say? Next up, when you speak, speak clearly. When you're speaking, try to be very clear. And maybe even if need be, some of you guys, if you've got a really bad lisp, go work with a speech coach. I know when I was a kid, I did have to work with a speech coach, and it's something I still have an issue confusing my R's and my W's, and I can't pronounce things really very well. But I try to think about it, and I try to break the words up, and that leads us to the third point, which is speak slowly. So what you don't want to do is fill your conversations with us, with, basically crutch words. All these things that we fall into, a lot of like this, like that. You know what I'm talking about. It makes you sound less intelligent and definitely doesn't make you sound like an authority. Take the time to think about what you're going to say. Slow down. Now, this next one's a bit of a power move, and that is when you're speaking, don't be afraid to pause. Pausing can do a number of things. It can invite someone else to think about what you just said and to respond. It can also help really emphasize a point that and it can be a very small point. But oftentimes we move so fast in our conversation that we don't have time to think. And when you pause, you slow the conversation down. And this is can be a very powerful power move that you can leverage. So don't hide and don't fidget. So a lot of times when people walk into a room, they go into the shadows. They go into the corners. You don't want to be that person that's sulking, hiding in the corner, making yourself smaller. You want to, again, find a group that you can join into, or again, even leaning up against a table in the middle of the room. Go to the bar if need be. And let's talk about fidgeting. Now, fidgeting is actually natural. It's something that we do to soothe ourselves. When we're nervous, when we've got a little bit of anxious energy, the problem is fidgeting can be perceived as weak, as something that makes you look really nervous and you're out of your element. Next up, stand up straight. Pretty simple. Roll the shoulders back and stand up straight. It's going to make you look stronger, taller, more masculine, and you're just going to come off as more confident. Next up, if you're having a good conversation, don't be afraid to lean in. Get a little bit closer. This shows that you're paying attention, that you're listening, and that you're interested in that other person. And people like this, especially if they're enjoying the conversation. You're making this a private conversation, and they're going to connect with you much better. Now, what to do if people are sitting down? Where should you sit? You don't want to sit on the edges, on the outside. I like to go more towards the center. If I'm looking to engage and talk with people, I'll go to a table that actually is pretty much already filled up, maybe room for 1 or 2 people if I'm with somebody else. But it's something that you want to be in and around other people. Now, this next technique is really powerful, but you got to be careful not to abuse it. And that is, if you're a great storyteller, you can really connect with people and you can really project power in a room. Because when people see a guy that's the life of the party and people are engaged in that story, in that conversation, and they're waiting for the next part, that is great. Now, where this can backfire is if you're a bad storyteller and you don't even know it. And so you want to think, what is my hook? How do I grab their attention? Then how do I make it relevant to this person? How do I have a buildup? And then how do I bring it all to conclusion? Preferably in a short time period. Now, the best thing you can do is to rehearse and practice the stories. Yes, you actually show up, you got stories in your back pocket that express, especially at networking business events, these are stories that maybe talk about why your business is great, why your customers, why do they keep coming back. You've got these stories because you know that they can help you sell, they can also help you connect, and they can make you referable. And don't forget to gesture. You notice my hands have been going all over the place. Gesturing is very key. Now, you don't want to overdo it. I know some people have told me that my hands need to actually stay within a box. I get it. I think it's better to over gesture than to under gesture. The point being, understand that having natural gestures is going to help get your point across and actually makes you come across as more human and someone they can better connect with. Now, this next mistake I see guys make all the time. It makes them look boring. It makes them definitely look like they're not the man in charge of the room. And that is when they're caught in a boring conversation, they start to scan. They don't leave the conversation. They're just looking around. And guess what? Whenever people see this, they see a guy that's powerless, caught in a boring conversation. If you're caught in a boring conversation, have the strength, and that leads me to the next point, to end the conversation, to step out of the conversation, to go somewhere else. Talk with the person. There are some easy outs. I need to go grab another drink. I need to head to the bathroom. I've got an important call to take. I see someone I want to go catch up with who I haven't talked with for a while. Those are all legitimate reasons to step out. But another one is actually to get that person maybe to summarize their points, to ask them questions to help clarify their message. The point is, don't let a boring conversation trap you because it just makes you look weak. Now guys, really quick, I want to point out the weakness of this video is that because I'm hitting so many points, I can't go really deep. If you want to go deeper on how you can walk into a room and own it, how you can command respect without saying a word, how you can attract opportunity, you need to go check out my masterclass. You are a man that deserves to be able to go out there and claim what is his. Gents, this master course is absolutely free. I'm linking to it down in the description. If you want to level up your confidence by mastering the science of style, this is the course that you need to start with. Again, guys, I'm linking to it down in the description. Go check it out.